This is why all ICE people need their names on their badges. Because now you're getting people mixed up in the crosshairs.
Talk to me.
Because if they're like, I don't know, apparently like they're not named. Like apparently they don't have like.
Well, yeah, they got the shiesties on.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Right. It is insane.
Yeah. People are looking at them like murderous military people that are on the streets of our city, and they're masked up, which is also a problem, right? They're wearing a mask. They don't have to tell you. That's a problem. That's a problem on our city streets.
This is your cousin who like was in backyard wrestling. Like this is tough. This is not the cream of the crop. You know the guys that kidnapped Maduro, like Delta Force, Navy SEALs? This is not them.
In recent days, Andrew Schulz, Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon, and many others have all slammed ICE and the agency's tactics. But how do the American people feel about ICE? We'll get into the numbers, but first, Cenk, what do you think about this shift that we're seeing in this independent right-wing media space?
Called it. So look, I'm deeply encouraged to see that folks who I thought might be principled on some of these issues have been. And so, yeah, we were all collectively not sure if they were just gonna be cucks for Trump. See there, I did it again. But they weren't, they haven't been. So doesn't mean we agree with everything they're saying, but that is super good. But by the way, they're not alone. Part of the reason that they're in that category is because the overwhelming majority of Americans agree with them. ICE has gone too far. We have those numbers for you in a second. But my second point is I'm super worried about this new idea that they have that they're gonna put us on domestic terrorist lists. And I hope that those same guys are going to be even more animated about that terrible idea. So let's give you all the facts.
Yeah. So let's start with a poll that the New York Times and Siena conducted from January 12th through the 17th. In total, 61% of respondents said that ICE's tactics have gone too far. 26% said they are about right. 11% said they are not enough. But how do those numbers break down by party affiliation? 94% of Democrats stated that ICE's tactics have gone too far. 71% of independents agreed. But only 19% of Republicans said that ICE's tactics are excessive. So ICE has a low approval rating overall. Just 36% of voters said they approved of the way ICE was handling its job, according to the poll, while 63% disapproved, including 70% of independent voters. Now here's where the numbers start to get a little more complicated. According to this poll, voters are not supportive of Trump's immigration policy, but when asked about Trump's border and deportation policies specifically, voters responded more positively. This is what we mean. When voters were asked about how Trump has handled immigration, 58% said that they disapproved and 40% said that they approved. 50% of voters said that they approved of the Trump administration's deportations of people living in the country illegally, while 47% opposed them. The president's handling of the southern border was viewed favorably by 50% of voters. So there is some nuance in these numbers, Cenk, but generally, the brutality that we are seeing in our streets is not palatable to a majority of Americans. And for me, I'm taking some hope from that, and that is a starting point for conversations about those other aspects of his immigration and deportation policy. What do you think?
Actually, I'm way more encouraged than you are. I mean, I don't think that it's, like I love nuance, but I don't think this one has as much nuance as some of the other stories, because look at the numbers. I just want to emphasize some of the things here. So Trump on immigration, after he closed down the border, that's the perception, and that's most Americans are in favor of that. And in the beginning, they were going after criminals more that were undocumented, and that had positive ratings, et cetera. So he took that goodwill, and remember, that was the second biggest issue in the election. The American people did vote for him based on that. He took all that goodwill and he flushed it right down the toilet. In 1 year with these mass thugs, he's now on the issue of immigration, he's underwater 40 to 58. That's 18 points underwater. On immigration, that was his top issue. So because on inflation, yeah, that was the #1 issue overall, but you weren't sure if Trump really could do something about it. But on immigration, they were like, yeah, Trump's definitely gonna do something. Now he's 18 points underwater. No, that's like, again, look guys, I'm the guy who called out Biden when he was in the mid-30s, and I said, look, there's real political realities. You cannot be in the mid-30s, especially as an incumbent, and win the election. It's not possible. It's never been done, right? So being 18 points underwater in immigration for a Republican president, especially Trump, is disastrous. So when you get into more of those numbers, 61% saying that ICE is going too far. That's a giant number, but look at the number that's saying not enough, 11%. That's actually microscopic politically. That means you're on the extreme edge. In fact, let's dive into those numbers a little bit more. Look, when 71% of independents say that ICE is going too far, those independents are the reason Trump won, and now they're gone. So how is he gonna get him back? I mean, they're not interested in all these wars he's starting. They're not interested in what the thuggish behavior of ICE. They're not interested in not releasing the Epstein files, backing Israel 100%, all these things. And he's getting more and more unpopular, and almost all the independents have turned against him. That's why people are starting to worry about, wait, is he gonna try to do something to like stop the election or rig the election in 26? Because at this pace, they're gonna get significantly hurt politically. The Republicans are, right? And then last one from this, even among Republicans, so sure, we got bad numbers there in terms of 19% saying going too far, but usually they don't really break with Trump that much. So already 2 out of 10 Republicans are against it, 56% saying right, but only 24% saying not enough. So if you were wondering how big is the extreme right wing, the guys who are like, oh, they shot Renee Good in the head 3 times, but at least she was a lesbian, right? Like that contingent, right? Apparently, it's only a quarter of the Republican Party. So that makes it right around that 11% that you're seeing in the overall numbers. So those are great numbers if you want to take power away from Trump. So as terrible as ICE is, it's doing more damage politically to Trump than anyone else. Keith, what do you think?
Well, first off, with Joe Rogan, Theo Von, who's the mustache man, Andrew Schulz, I just want an apology. I don't need more than that, but I would like one apology. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was gonna happen. I'm sorry I helped this happen. But those numbers are stunning. And to me it says that they are not planning on having to have the support of the electorate for elections. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that they're not planning on having free and fair elections. I don't know if it means that Donald Trump just is like, see you later, I don't care what happens because I'm out. Or if Donald Trump thinks that he's gonna be able to figure out a way to be in power. Because these are not people who are governing, like they care what the electorate thinks. That is my worry about all of this.
Yeah, just real quick on that, I don't need a sorry. All I need is a yes. So it's okay to have,
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But like, as long as they're coming to our side in some ways, and it's affecting politics in the right direction, I'm thrilled about it. And of all people, Tucker Carlson from time to time, and he did it when he interviewed Anna, my co-host Anna Kasparian. He said, "Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have been in favor of those wars." So like weird, amazing things are happening in media, and I think it's affecting these numbers as well. Jordan,
On the podcaster front, it's just like I'm with Keith. It's like, yeah, you didn't want it, but how did you not know this was going to happen? That's my thing. It's like they weren't hiding it; they were telling us they were going to do this, and I think they only focused on the criminals and the worst of the worst stuff, and ignored all of the other violent, bloodthirsty rhetoric that we all saw and paid attention to and were very worried about. I don't know. It's just like, you gotta take a little responsibility, because we had this autopsy after the election. They played an outsized role in shaping people's perceptions of the candidates. And all of those guys were very supportive of Trump. They had caveats, of course. And Dave Smith had said, like, look, if he doesn't do these things, I'm out. Trump didn't do those things, he's out. Like, he had his line that Trump, if he crossed it, he was gone. So yeah, like there were some people like that, but I think the comedians who weighed into politics weren't paying close attention, and I would argue misinformed their audience. And this is the consequence, in part. It's not just them, of course, but When you have a platform that big, I've always maintained you need to have more responsibility for what you say, who you have on, and what your viewers are told or what they ultimately believe if it comes from you.
Okay, we got to go to the domestic terrorist thing, but I just last thing to respond to that super quick is like I hear you guys and politically I agree with you, but they haven't been in politics that long. Like, is Theo Von a political strategist that's been around for decades? Not really. He's just trying to figure out the world, and it's also on us to not pick corporate robots. Because when you're doing a populist show and the Democrats go, here is a great corporate robot that we have brought, like you can't, they're like, I can't go in that direction, so I guess I'll go for the madman. But this is what the madman wrought, and that's why we were warning you about the madman. But I'll take yes for an answer any day, all day. All right, tell us about the most important
So much more I want to say, but yes. There's another video from Nathan Bernard that was taken by a legal observer. Let's start with this.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
Now, that incident is backed up by a disturbing new report written by enemy of the show, Ken Klippenstein. DHS has ordered immigration officers to gather identifying information about anyone filming them and to send that information to Intel, who will do a workup on them. Federal law enforcement official directly involved tells me, meaning trying to identify them via social media, running their license plates if available, and running a criminal history check. Klippenstein published a related scoop on Wednesday. He was leaked a copy of the Trump administration's 2026 Homeland Threat Assessment. It posits that America's greatest threat in 2026 is not foreign adversaries, but rather domestic terrorism. But what defines a domestic terrorist? The document reads, of threat actors with ideological motivations, domestic violent extremists in recent years have been the most active plotters. They are motivated to conduct attacks by a wide range of factors, including anti-government sentiment, racial and ethnic grievances, anti-Israel and anti-Semitic beliefs, and class-based or economic grievances. And there's more, but for the sake of time, Cenk, I want to bring you in here.
Okay, this is an absolute disaster. So it's on two fronts. One is, now we're calling American citizens domestic terrorists. Okay, once you start calling each other terrorists, good night, Irene. Okay, whoever comes into office, arrest the other side because they're terrorists. It's like the worst word in the English language. It's almost always abused for political purposes. It doesn't really have any meaning. Hamas is considered terrorists because they have a 67% kill ratio, and that is true, they are terrorists, and that does prove it. Israel has an 83% civilian kill ratio. They are bigger terrorists, but they are never called terrorists in American media because the word terrorist is just propaganda. And now I hated it when they used it against Palestinians overall, and then they're killing all those civilians in Gaza. But now they've started to use it on us here at home in America. So, and if you notice, the second part of it is gratuitously, for no reason, Israel's on the list. Which is like, okay, if you say things, if you endanger the lives of ICE officers and say something mean about them or their mom, plus if you say anything against Portugal, we'd be like, why is Portugal in there, right? But Israel's in there, nobody goes, why is Israel in there? Because this isn't even about us, brother. The surveillance state's gonna start, and when it does, the first thing they're gonna crack down is any protest of Israel. You are to give all of your money to them, and if you object, domestic terrorists, treat them like a Palestinian. That's what's coming next. And against American citizens, hell no. Keith.
Well, I think we know what they want to do to people who they call terrorists. They've done it to the narco terrorists. They killed them in the ocean, and they are going to label anyone here in America as a terrorist, as someone that does not have to have laws and due process. So to me, the terrorist label is obviously them trying to say that if you do something that the government doesn't like, then you actually don't have rights and they can do whatever they want to. It's not good.
Yeah, narco terrorists / fishermen.
Yes.
Right. And so it's one thing when it's Venezuelan fishermen and I hate it. It's another thing when it becomes our fishermen and our carpenters and bakers and construction guys, etc. So no. We're not calling any Americans terrorists on the left or the right, and we're not taking away their rights, and we're not for any of this un-American crap. And if they really start putting people on a list, I'm hoping that all those guys you saw earlier, the Rogans and all those guys, all collectively say on behalf of America, hell no. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.